All right, so this is a breakdown of I hope you find whatever you're looking for, and I'm going to take you through and just show you how I built out the song. Most of the time when I start a song from scratch, I just move with sounds that inspire me, whether it's like a patch or, a series of chords. But this song I wrote to the title. One of the earliest ideas I had was I wanted to have multiple chord changes. I'll demo this out. And while this is going on, I was looking for a bass line that moved a lot also and wasn't just, a simple synth pad. And both halves are different. The middle of the chorus feels unresolved, which makes you want to hear it go around again. And the end of the chorus feels like it resolves a bit more. And the bass line that I ended up figuring out was this. And this is with the SH2 involved. A little shaky, a little wobbly. Now, I also auditioned a lot of synthesizer sounds. I chose this one. And for whatever reason, I was like, this has to be it. And it sits nice above the piano. I also added a Rhodes around this time too. And the Rhodes gives it a lot of body in the middle. You can kind of hear it in there. And on top, there's this jet pad. It has the tremolator by Sound Toys on it, which is nice. Gives it some chop. It's a little hollow. It's light. It doesn't really interfere with too much of the lower frequencies. And then I added this white noise in too, just to make it sound a little dirtier. And the other element that I came up with before building out the arrangement was this bell part, which happens in the chorus and the bridge. Now the other thing too is I came up with a weird little broken up drum beat, and I had my brother record drums for this. Some of the sounds I blew out with Decapitator or some sort of saturation. Others were a little bit more dry. I used the overhead and the room mics, and I blew those out a little bit to make them break up and give it more attitude. And this is the drums. Before building out the arrangement, I had a couple words floating around, and that was, "You're not what I want, you're not what I need." I threw those in, I moved them around, and in the intro, they're not in the right spot, but it sounded cool to me, so I left it. So this is the intro into the chorus. You're not what I want. You're not what I need. So that's in the wrong spot. That's in the right spot. And it just worked. And coming in on that offbeat with the chorus, or before the chorus I should say, coming in on the offbeat for this section. And I had those words, and before I put in, "I hope you find whatever you're looking for," I had that, and I wrote to that for a while. I wrote lyrics. I figured out the definitive synthesizer sounds. I messed with the synth bass. I treated the drums. And eventually I moved over to the verse where it's stripped down a little bit. And to change up the soundscape, I went for some different pads. This has a little bit of the Pan Man on it to make it move around. Shout out to Sound Toys. And it's chill. The chorus is so intense that pulling the bass out, using some different synthesizers that have these more ethereal type pads made the verse feel like a nice scene change. And up until this point, I had the hardest time building out this arrangement because I knew a piece was missing. And then so one day I sat down and I had this little melody idea. I was like, whatever, I'll sing it. So rather than use an instrument to record that idea, I just used my voice. And this is what I call the interlude right after the first verse. And that to me felt like that was magic. It gives it this lift, it sounds sad, and it just felt very complimentary from moving from the chorus to the verse and then having like this little scene change before going back into the verse. So what I did was too, when I had that, instead of adding a higher harmony, I added the lower harmony, which was this guy. And together, underneath that, I have a kick drum with some slap and some reverb that sounds far away. That's how that whole section sounds to me. It just sounds like this, like somewhat of a daydream, like someone snapping out of it. It just kind of has its own little groove, its own identity outside of the drum beat that carries most of the song. So into the second verse, you'll hear two added elements. Distorted drums, which are the crushed overhead and room mics that I spoke about. And I added real bass. I, for whatever reason, was feeling like the synth bass would be exhausting to listen to throughout the whole song, and I wanted something a little bit more organic and real. So I messed around and came up with this alternative kind of melody that goes under it and then matches up with the melody a little bit towards the end. Just another color. And this is with the bass. A little harmonic. Now, when I did that bass, it really wasn't doing it for me because it sounded really small. It didn't open up the back half of the second verse like I wanted it to. And I went on a little bit of a reverb hunt. And in Altiverb, I found a verb where that bass expanded and sounded a little bit more three-dimensional. So when the distorted drums come in, this bass kind of expands and opens up the song in a weird way. And this is the only time it happens. So it like opens up and then it closes. And then you have like this bass synth back like tighten in the middle again. This is without. And I have a little bit of candy here. There's a pad that goes. And then I have that guy. Just a little weird sound. So when that interlude happened, the whole arrangement opened up for me. And I immediately brought over the kick, the claps, and that vocal pad, because you have this huge chorus and you want it to just chill out. And so I felt like building that interlude out was the right move. And that vocal stack just swimming in reverb felt awesome. You got some lo-fi drums that come in, some other chorus elements like the bells, some pads. And I also have the I Hope You Find Whatever You're Looking For make an appearance. And it was around this time that I probably felt like I knew its position in the song, where it belonged. And that's coming out of the chorus. So those hits that just happened were something that I was really working on, with trying to get out of the bridge, make the bridge lift up and then settle into a chorus so that the chorus felt like almost like you're hearing it for the first time again. And it goes a major second, a whole step above the note that it's going to land on. I also have this cute little ARP synth going on. Just a little bit of controlled chaos and excitement. And that makes an appearance in the beginning, right in the intro before the chorus hits, and then it has an appearance at the end of the song. And in the outro, just like the intro, I'm slowly adding elements in the intro, and in the same way I'm pulling them out at the end of the song. So the bells end. That ARP is carrying a little bit of the excitement. The jet pad's still going. Bass is still going. The chorus vocals probably took me another month or two to finalize, between the melodies, the words, making sure the treatment that I wanted was right. I have certain vocals distorted, a lot of reverb and delay choices that I wanted to make sure everything had its own space and complemented one another. Even with the synthesizer pads, I needed to make sure all of them harmoniously lived together and nothing sounded out of place. And that's I Hope You Find Whatever You're Looking For. Thanks, guys.